need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Florence may stick around for a while. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The hurricane's expected to hit the Carolina coast into Virginia Thursday into Friday, and this could make things worse.
A slowdown in forward motion as landfall nears, which will prolong heavy rain and flooding potential.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean there. People are getting ready, some evacuating. Fox's Evan Brown's live in Wilmington.
Chris, outside a Target store, which last night had shelves cleared of water, milk, and bread. They were supposed to be restocked overnight, ready to open just now. Other big grocery and retail stores around here have had the same issues, selling out of pallets of bottled water by the dozen in less than an hour. Local officials are urging people to either finish preparations or evacuate by tonight. A shelter is opening here at one of the local middle schools, but leaders are urging people to use it only as a last resort. Chris?
Evan, thanks. And tonight, Hawaii will get hit by Tropical Storm Olivia. It's September 11th, 17 years after the terrorist attacks that killed nearly 3,000 people. Fox's Tanya J. Powers is live near Ground Zero in New York.
In contrast to the beautiful September morning in 2001, today in Lower Manhattan, it's kind of gray. It's foggy. The families, first responders, and the survivors are gathering for the ceremony that takes place between the two memorial pools that are the footprints of where the Twin Towers still stood at this time 17 years ago. Later this hour, they'll ring the first of 6 bells that will toll, and they'll begin reading the names of the almost 3,000 people who lost their lives. Chris?
Tanya J. Powers, thanks. The U.S. military has now identified the first 2 American soldiers in the 55 boxes of remains that North Korea handed over. They date back to the Korean War as part of an agreement between President Trump and the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in their meeting. The move next is to notify the families. Ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street, the Dow is down 107 points. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Hey, Philadelphia! Right now at VisionWorks, all prescription eyewear, every frame, every brand is 50% off. Yup, a nifty 50% thanks to our friends and family event. What's even better? It applies to both glasses and sunglasses. That's right. At the VisionWorks Friends and Family event, you can save 50% on all prescription eyewear. Why? Because we like you, Philadelphia. A lot. VisionWorks, we're here to help you. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Dr. Bob Arnott for Salonpas.
I'm training for the world's most grueling paddleboard race. 32 miles of open ocean, high winds and surf. Naturally, I get a lot of muscle pain. 50 years in medicine has taught me what to look for in a pain reliever. Powerful, targeted, non-addictive, and available without a prescription. I found it in Salonpas Lidocaine Plus. It has 2 powerful anesthetics that numb nerves right where it hurts. Salonpas gives me relief.
The last time the midsection of the East Coast stared down a hurricane as powerful as Florence, Dwight Eisenhower was in the White House. This hasn't happened in 60 years. Florence expected to strengthen to a Category 5 today. The impact to New Jersey still expected to be minimal, but South Jersey could get clipped with heavy winds and rain Thursday night into Friday. We pause today to remember 9/11. There is word those who responded to Ground Zero after the attacks are dying at a quicker rate than in previous years. Dr. Iris Udison heads up the World Trade Center Medical Monitoring Program at Rutgers. She says if you take a 60-year-old New Jersey police officer who worked on the pile,
their rate of cancer would be much higher than a 60-year-old who was just a normal, average, everyday person living in New Jersey.
She says some of her patients do get better, but many don't survive. A lawyer that used to represent Kate McClure and Mark D'Amico expects the South Jersey couple to be indicted for stealing GoFundMe money meant for a homeless man. Ernest Badway had been hired by the couple to fend off a civil lawsuit, but has withdrawn from the case, telling the court indictments are likely. I'm Eric Scott. This is the Town Square News Network.
Well, the coastal flooding picture looks better today, although we're still dealing with some unsettled weather, morning fog and spotty showers. Then we'll get a break of sun around midday before scattered thunderstorms fire up again this afternoon. High temperatures around 80. Any showers and storms will fade tonight. It's going to be pretty muggy with patchy fog, lows around 70. Mostly cloudy with scattered showers tomorrow, highs around 80. Not as wet during the day on Thursday, but we're still tracking Hurricane Florence, which could bring a little bit of rain and some gusty winds to South Jersey on Thursday night. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPGG Talk Radio 104.1.
5 minutes past the hour. Mr. President, stand by, because there's something I want to say to you when we go to the September 11, 2001 piece. We have done this, well, the first year would have been live right here at Town Square Media, right here in this same spot. And 17 years later, we've done it every year in between. And that is to roll back to September 11th, 2001, the day that literally changed America forever. How you fly, the whole change in terms of everything from minor civil liberties. So here it goes. We'll be back.
Not quite up there. I wasn't looking at it as I was driving towards it. I just heard a huge explosion.
WCBS radio helicopter traffic pilot Tom Kaminsky has more.
We are now looking at flames shooting out of the north side of number 1 World Trade Center, but there are at least some windows blown out and smoke billowing out of the opposite side.
One report quotes an eyewitness who says it was a twin-engine plane. It is unclear how many people were in the area of the crash or how many injuries there may be.
Hurley in the Morning. WPGG.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
I'll tell you what, I have so much going through my mind right now. My head is literally spinning. And I'll tell you, I can't tell you the last time this happened to me. I actually, for a second, kind of didn't lose my breath, but I just took a deep breath because a second plane has now crashed into the World Trade Center in the other tower, which means at this point, This is not an accident at this point. You do a statistical model on something like this. There's no way that this happens twice and it's an accident. Can you believe this? I have a witness in the studio. Did you need me for something? Or? Just coming in to see if you know about it. Yeah, I do. Thanks for letting me know. Unbelievable. Not once, but twice in minutes. Do you realize, depending on who did this, this could be, I don't want to jump too far because I'm sitting here with a disadvantage. I don't have some of the resources I would like to have in front of me before making certain statements, but depending on if this is domestic terrorism or otherwise, this could be an act of war. We may be at war right now. We don't even know it yet. 8 minutes past the hour of 9. Let's say good morning to Rick. Rick, how do you do?
Good morning, Harry.
Yes.
Just real quickly on this one, I guess it could be Osama bin Laden at work or domestic terrorists, but they've hit us, with the U.S. ship, in the Persian Gulf, and they've hit, airmen in our apartment towers in Saudi Arabia, and of course the Marine barracks in Beirut back in I guess it was 82, 83. So, and after Oklahoma, anything's possible, even in, a suicide bomber attack, by air on the World Trade Center. It's just incredible, simply incredible.
Yeah, the only report I'm able to find so far is the first encounter, and then they say that shortly afterward a second explosion rocked the other tower. So I don't, I was told it was a plane, but maybe it was a second explosion. And, I've always felt, and again, I don't want to go too far with speculation, but that this was the type of building that would get hit.
Right.
So we'll see if it's domestic, if it's international terrorism, if it's just an accident. But what else is new? All right, I'm getting some email that there's no details yet. I want to see if anyone is taking responsibility for this bombing, this plane crash, and the second explosion at the World Trade Center. It's amazing, but I'll tell you, if this is what it possibly could be, this is what I have always feared. This was the spot that I always felt it would be. And again, it could be just an accident. And the second explosion could be part of I don't know. But it's one of each tower, so it's starting to look very, very strange. I just got an email from a very good friend that they're calling this thing an actual name, Operation Archangel. Tina, what have you heard?
Well, the Archangel is an evacuation plan that the City of New York has in place for public city buildings to be evacuated. So all public city buildings in New York are being evacuated under this code of Archangel. There's also rumor, as it's developing, that the hijacking plane from Chicago, the plane was hijacked from Chicago. Bush is now in Florida, and he's being briefed, and he'll be on television shortly.
Is this 2 planes or
Yeah,
one?
there was one plane, and then it was followed up with another one. They just have no idea what the situation with that is. But the one plane was a 737 from Chicago.
Wow. Tina, I'm going to try to dial up some national news and see if there's any specials going on. Okay. Thanks very much.
Sure.
Appreciate that. And Tina just shared it, and this email just came in. They are evacuating the UN, City Hall, Archangel. Somebody wrote Archangel, but Archangel is the evacuation plan. Let's see. Did you want to share anything else, Tina?
No.
Okay, thanks very much. Let me see. I'm going to take a shot that CNN may be on this. Let's see if we can dial them up. Well, hey, listen, I'm almost at the point where I'm looking at stuff as it comes live online, and some of your emails, if you know what the current news is on this, there are a lot of people who are either in their cars, they could be walking with their radios, and they're not as able to pick up on exactly what's happening as you might be if you're watching TV or have it on a different radio. So keep in touch with us. Good morning.
2 planes have crashed right into the World Trade Center.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
and
there
confirming.
It is. Live. CNN has got it. Smoke pouring out. And
anyone taking credit?
Nope.
Any fatalities?
It'd be impossible if they weren't.
Depending, well, unless you got lucky if it was up upper floors.
Smoke alone. Smoke alone will kill plenty. But let's hope that there's none.
Jeez, what are they saying thus far?
Hold on, listen.
I heard on the radio that one of the towers was on fire, and we went to High Point in our building, which is on the 25th floor, and you had a clear view of the both World Trade Centers, and the one tower was smoking hard. And there was another plane that was flying low, and we just looked at it, and before you know it, just kamikaze, boom, right into the other tower. And
I mean, what about the people on the plane?
Well, they're kamikaze missions.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that.
But you have passengers, wouldn't? If it's hijacked, there would be passengers.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Unless they let them off, but if you're doing something bad like that, you're right. There could be all the passengers from that. Is it 2 hijacked planes or one?
2 planes, one low, one high. One about the top 15% and the other about the top 25% of the buildings. Now, what surprises me, I know there's a plan, and I remembered from intelligence school that if aircraft were hijacked and were looking like they were going to be attacking any place, that they're supposed to be scrambling fighters to prevent that. But then on the other hand, if those were shot down over the city, where are they going to fall? They're going to fall into the city.
Well, the president is going to address the nation within a half hour. What we'll do is we'll carry the CBS feed, and we'll share that. We'll stop whatever we're doing. This is so upsetting. I just can't even stand being here at the moment, other than I want to share information, but I'm not equipped other than news feeds, and they're not here at the moment. Geez, this is just, it's so sketchy. It's just so unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's right at the time when, most of the people, are there. Not that many visitors, but, people who work there. And, it's possibly, well, it's only guessing. I know that in the building one of the buildings that my dad ran, that the basement was in the upper floors. All the equipment and everything.
True, so they try to hit there to make the most...
Well, there's less people, though. But, it's just all conjecture, just like, we've had hundreds of times before with these news things. And all you can do is hope for the best, but it's done. And, if that, it's got to be, certainly got to be a terrorist thing. It just doesn't happen.
Can you imagine there were air traffic controllers probably frantically radioing these people when they're in incorrect airspace, and that they just kept going, and people that are willing to forfeit their lives for these kinds of causes? I mean, whatever it is, it's sick. We don't have to know it's Ben Lama or who, although he's immediately my suspect, but there are people willing to forfeit their lives for whatever cause, they're pursuing. It's just maddening.
But it shows you how, I won't say easy, but it is.
Well, of course, listen, if you are willing to forfeit your life, any cookie act is easy.
That's what, we're up against. And what we need to do is to invent some virus that kills all those people.
This is just...
What can you do?
It's awful. Henry,
that's terrorism. We studied it. We had about an hour a day on terrorism, and there was every possible kind of terrorism. I mean,
with what you're watching, do you know a time that the president... Somebody told me a half hour, but that was a little bit ago, and I don't know. Is there a time when he's going to address the nation?
I haven't heard it yet, but I'll bet you that he's going to wait till he gets everything he can, which would be the right thing to do.
Well, they did. Well, no. You have to. I think the president needs to make a statement in the beginning too. He doesn't have to. If you don't know everything, you don't say what you don't know. But they say he's going to address the country within a half hour, and that was about 5 minutes ago. So I don't think you could possibly have everything by then, but you have enough where you calm and steady the nation, and say what you know. I mean,
exactly.
What we don't know is they may know there may be some person or persons taking credit for this at this point.
Yeah, huge. I mean, just floor after floor that you could just see it all punched out. What you've got to put a TV into that room there, into the studio.
Was the plane... it's funny, it's a long story. We always had a TV in our studio. Suburban never ran the cable that they promised us that they were going to run. It's not that I don't have a TV. I have a TV. I don't have the cable. This building, believe it or not, was never wired. And the stretch of cable they have to run is evidently, but maybe digital or something we can do.
How about just a pair of rabbit ears, and you'll just have to pick up the local feed?
I mean, we could do that. Very rarely, it's just interesting. Very rarely do I need it, because this show is not about what other entities are saying. It's about what we're saying. So this is just one of those times where, it would be nice to have it. But I can't tell you, maybe 2 times in all these years have I wished I had a TV in here. Henry, thanks for the update, and keep in touch.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Well, good luck to everybody.
Thanks. Yeah, you too.
This is Hurley in the Morning. It is 17 minutes past the hour. Each year on September 11th, we roll back to September 11th, 2001. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
This is Harry Hurley for All Season Solar, our official and exclusive solar energy provider to the Hurley in the Morning program. They design and they install the most attractive, efficient, state-of-the-art solar photovoltaic systems from the world's leading manufacturers. What I love about dealing with All Season Solar, they're your single point of contact. They do the system design, engineering, your building permits, installation, and the ultimate glorious utility connection day. They take care of everything under the sun so that you can sit back and reap the savings. Call Frank Neal today, 609-317-5491. That's Frank Neal, All Season Solar, 609-317-5491. There's never been a better time to go solar. The benefits are there. New Jersey leads the East Coast and second largest in the entire United States in terms of solar energy panel installation. No deposits, no hidden fees, no out-of-pocket costs. All Season Solar. Tell them Hurley in the Morning sent you.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
This is Harry Hurley, and I'm with the Mayor, Charles Kane, owner and operator of the Auto Plaza, Egg Harbor Township. Mayor, tell your listeners who are looking for a car, why should they choose the Auto Plaza?
Harry, it's our full-service department, selection, and hassle-free financing alternatives that have set us apart for over 17 years. Over the years, we've been the recipient of many sales and service awards, as well as receiving an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. It's been a real honor for us. We are now serving a second generation of sales and service customers. Stop in today. You're going to love our staff and experience what makes us different.
For all of your automobile service, parts, and sales needs, call the Auto Plaza at 609-646-2447. That's 609-646-2447. And visit us on the World Wide Web at myautoplaza.com.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
Hey, it's Sean Hannity here, and this is South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
20 minutes past the hour, we return you to September 11th, 2001, exactly as it sounded. on then WFPG, 1450 AM. This is now the World's Playground, WPG 104.1.
Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Wait a minute. And I'll tell you, they weren't. Hello?
Yeah, you're on.
Harry, listen, it looked like kamikaze. A big jet just slammed into the trade tower. I saw it.
Well,
two of them.
Two of them. Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. For people that don't have the visual that you have, are the planes all the way inside, or do they partly stick out?
I don't know. Where'd the plane go? We didn't see it fall. We're watching it. They keep running it on Katie Couric.
Well, I don't think the plane did fall. Don't you get it? I think the plane crashed right through.
I know. I have the pictures of the original bomber that crashed into the Empire State Building years ago. I have an old book. But I'm going to tell you something. You got to have a TV in that studio. I'm telling you, he's right. But the two trade towers, it was deliberate. It was a kamikaze.
Well,
and
that seems...
the planes looked like they were by remote control. They didn't look like they were piloted.
Well, that's not. I don't think that's true. In fact, one of the planes, you must be just picking up on this, because one of the planes, they hijacked. So
one of them was hot. I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
I've been listening to it for half an hour or more.
But they haven't said that in a half hour? One of the planes was hijacked, I believe Henry said, in Chicago.
One of them was hijacked?
Yeah.
Well, it was a big jet. They said it was a 747, and it crashed right into the trade tower. I saw it.
Right.
I saw it slam. It went low, and it cut right in like it was aiming for it. It just looked kamikaze to me.
Because it was. That's why it looked like it, because it was.
With Iraq, because we're shooting.
Well, we don't know. Well, let's wait till we don't know. It could be, they said, I took all these calls when Tim McVeigh did what he did, and they all said that was international. So this could be domestic terrorism too. Let's take a brief time out. We'll catch our wind. We'll see what's happening, and I'm going to make arrangements now to be able to carry, as long as it's while I'm here, to carry the president's address. You talk about George W. Bush. The man has been hit by everything, left with a piss-poor economy. I mean, left with so much garbage, and now something like this to deal with. You're going to see again why we are so lucky to have a compassionate, moral, decent authority that the country can rally behind and respect and revere. This is an important test for the President of the United States as well. We'll be back in a moment. This is just, I feel like I did the day I was walking off the basketball court and someone said, Harry, we're at war. I was at Mainland Regional High School in Desert Storm. See you in a few minutes. Resorts, Atlantic City, up now. We're going to jump in right now. IDA, the state's largest independent third-party administrator of group health benefits, to the President of the United States.
Crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
We've been watching President Bush, who was down in Florida for what was supposed to be an educational event. Instead, he is racing back to Washington as we speak. The President making a very brief statement in Sarasota, calling it an apparent terrorist attack on our nation, again, that is unconfirmed, and promising the full resources of the federal government to not only help the victims, but also to investigate. And before asking people to pray with him, the President saying that this act will not stand. As he was speaking, we got a report from Reuters that a plane was hijacked from Boston. A plane out of Boston was hijacked. But again, that is unconfirmed. We had a report earlier from the Associated Press that there had been a hijacking. Now Reuters is reporting that a plane out of Boston was hijacked. An American Airlines aircraft, we understand, was the plane that was hijacked. This would be in keeping with an earlier eyewitness report
that the first plane that plowed into the World Trade Center was a 737. Former FBI agent James Kallstrom covered the World Trade Center bombing back in 1993. He is with us on the line right now. Jim, good morning.
Good morning.
You've been watching this. Talk to me.
I shouldn't say good morning. It's not a good morning.
No, I apologize. Go ahead.
I don't really know much about it, but it sure looks to me like a deliberate act of terrorism. And I mourn the loss of the lives that I'm sure are going to follow this.
I've got a lot of questions for you, James. Let me kind of take you through them if I could. Because you investigated and worked on the original terrorist incident, or I should say the terrorist incident back in 1993, can you tell me if these buildings have any special significance by virtue of who's working in them?
Well, I don't think it's so much who's working in them. I think the towers symbolize largely. There's many other symbols also, but the World Trade Center is a symbol. That was one of the original reasons that Ramzi Youssef and the rest of that gang wanted to do the World Trade Center as a symbol of America. So, sure, there's other symbols, but I think this is probably the tallest one on the East Coast.
Again, all of this is unconfirmed. We heard the president call it an apparent terrorist attack. At this moment, have you any doubt that's exactly what it is?
No, I have no doubt of that. I would call it an apparent attack. I think there's probably an infinitesimal chance it isn't, but it certainly doesn't appear that it could be. Commercial airliners, number one, are not going to direct themselves into a square hit on the World Trade Center. If there's some sort of a mayday or something wrong with the plane, they're going to try to ditch it elsewhere. They're not going to do that. And if the reports of a second plane hitting the building are true, then I think that probably caps off exactly what this is. It's a cowardly act of terrorism.
How restricted is the airspace around the World Trade Center?
I'm not an FAA person, but you cannot fly through that airspace unless you're a helicopter, or unless you're anything really, without being guided by air traffic control. It's highly restrictive.
So the possibility that two planes on a clear day just happened to wander into these buildings.
I think that's beyond the pale.
Yeah, that's not a possibility. Again, you worked on evacuating these buildings. You saw what happened when they were evacuated. How many people are we talking about from what you can see on those upper levels?
Do we know exactly what time this first event happened?
We're guessing. We're putting it at about 8:45, Mr. Kallstrom.
Yeah, I think
that's only by eyewitnesses.
Yeah, Brian, I think we're...
And on the line, Brian, you there?
Yes, I am.
Talk to me.
Well, obviously, we don't know the details of what happened yet. We should have details coming out fairly quickly, though, as to the identity of this aircraft. We're talking about crowded airspace in New York with major airports in the area, both in the immediate area of New York and in the surrounding cities. There should be information fairly quickly that will identify these particular aircraft. And indeed, we should be able to confirm fairly quickly as to the identity of the jet, and perhaps even some last second broadcast that may indicate what happened.
Mr. Jacobs, I'm going to interrupt for just one second because we're getting word that they are evacuating the White House down in Washington right now.
Well, this is not surprising. I mean, first of all, an action of this magnitude is something that does suggest a great deal of planning and preparation. In some of these recent actions, we have seen...
I want my person to keep this feed going. I'm just turning it down for a moment because there are a few other developments. Airports are closed. Manhattan is blocked off. The stock market will not open. And I just learned from Henry this additional item that television antennas were hit, and that there's a great deal of TV outage. So I mean, maybe who knows why they hit where they hit and where they hit, but they knew they would cause maximum disruption by hitting a major city in the United States, and this is just
30 minutes past the hour. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We've rolled back, as we do each September 11th, rolled back the Hurley in the Morning Wayback Machine to September 11th, 2001. Today is September 11th, 2018. Does it seem even possible that it's been 17 years.
Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons at 3.
All right, Tuesday edition of the Sean Hannity Show. 17 years ago today, this country had the worst attack on our soil in our history. We will take you back, remembering 9/11/2001. It is the Tuesday edition of the Sean Hannity Show.
Sean Hannity, weekdays 3 to 6 on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
This portion of Early in the Morning brought to us in part by Angeloni's 2 Restaurant and Lounge, the corner of Arctic and Georgia Avenues in the World's Playground, serving, preparing all meals to order for nearly 40 years. Lunch is served Monday through Friday, dinner 7 nights a week. Mama Angeloni's on Sundays is something to not only behold, but to partake in. 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. for much of the year, 4 p.m. for a few hours each Sunday, non-major holiday Sunday during the busiest of the summer season. So I let you know exactly when Alan is reverting back to the 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. But nonetheless, all Sundays other than a major holiday Sunday, a wide variety of fabulous 4-course, $25 dinner selections are available for parties of 10 or less. For more than 10, you're a group, and Alan will take great care of you by structuring a group plan. $25 only on a cash-only basis for Mama Angeloni's.
Know that about 80% of college students change their majors at least once. Instead of spending tens of thousands of dollars trying to make a decision at a high-tuition 4-year university, consider New Jersey's outstanding community colleges. Community colleges offer a top-notch education at an affordable price. Community colleges offer flexible schedules, smaller class sizes, qualified professors, and support staff, extracurricular activities, and athletics. Explore a wide range of major and career options. Earn college credits while deciding the best career route for you. So start college the smart way. Save money and time while getting a solid education at New Jersey's 19 community schools. To learn more, visit njea.org/higher ed. The members of the New Jersey Education Association are making public schools and community colleges great for every student. This message is sponsored by the New Jersey Education Association, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
This is Ocean City's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 104.1 and WPGTalkRadio.com.
32 minutes past the hour. We return you to September 11th, 2001, exactly as things unfolded.
I think that Kallstrom from the FBI, by the way, this is Bryant Gumbel, CBS TV News, and the former FBI guy that did all the investigations, Kallstrom, James Kallstrom, on, well, this is a different guest at the moment, but we'll stay with this. It's 9:41, Hurley in the Morning continues.
Hold on. I'm sorry, no. The one aircraft is cleared. We can't tell whether it was a plane or a chopper from our vantage point. I apologize, Mr. Jenkins.
No, that's okay.
We're more than a bit gun-shy.
And we just learned that the White House has been evacuated, so, I mean, this is going to just trigger in case this stuff is set in other locations. Whew. I mean, they could have, what if they chose the White House? I mean, just as sure as they chose this, this is just almost unbelievable, but in this sick day and age, I guess it's not.
Yet further pieces to this operation that haven't yet unfolded. Well, this itself is certainly one of the most ambitious terrorist attacks that we have seen. Certainly, we have seen in the recent past coordinated attacks, even attacks taking place in different cities within minutes.
Let me ask you to sit there. James Kallstrom, you still with me?
We'll get back to that in just a second, just to continue to update you on things that are in addition to what CBS is covering at the moment. National media sources are citing that at least 6 people have been killed. I would be shocked if it's not many more than that, but you never know. They believe that at least 1,000 have been injured.
Knowing a little bit that I know, sitting outside now and seeing what's happened here, I think that's probably very prudent.
I'm looking, Mr. Kallstrom and Mr. Jenkins, I'll tell you as we alert everyone else, that I'm looking at a report here from Reuters that a Palestinian group has claimed responsibility. Oh, my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion this one in the nation's capital, you are looking at a scene of apparent blast aftermath. There is smoke in the air over the Pentagon.
Oh, my God.
We don't know whether this is the result of a bomb or whether it is yet another aircraft that has targeted a symbol of the United States power, but there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. This is coming at 9:43 Eastern Time. As I note all this, there is a report that I'm looking at from Reuters that a Palestinian group has claimed responsibility for the New York World Trade Center plane attacks. Abu Dhabi Television is reporting that it received a call from the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, claiming responsibility for crashing 2 planes into the World Trade Center buildings. And Qatar-based Al Jazeera Television is saying that FBI sources are saying that one of the 2 aircraft had been hijacked. Mr. Jenkins, are you still with me?
Hey, I would. This is a Palestinian group whose history goes not carried out anything on this scale. No terrorist group has carried out anything on this scale, but certainly haven't carried out anything like this, terrorist activity like this in many, many years. However, I'd be very, very cautious at this point about any telephone claims. Once these events occur, what we've seen is 2 things. Number one, in many cases, there is no credible claim of responsibility from the actual perpetrators. And second, there are often many false claims by groups once information like this goes out.
Let me just pass along some information. In New York, all airports, Newark, JFK, LaGuardia, all airports have been closed, as have all tunnels leading to New Jersey and Queens, and all bridges. All airports, tunnels, and bridges have been closed. Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Kallstrom, while you're there, let me just try to do a recap, if I might, because we're looking at just about 1 hour ago when all this began. It began when a plane, still an unidentified aircraft, plowed into one of the 2 towers of the World Trade Center, creating a hole, the larger of the 2 that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. 18 minutes after that, as we were dealing with that explosion, you see a second plane, appeared to be a commercial aircraft, bored into, there it is again, bored into the second of the 2 towers at a lower level. At this point, we do not have any confirmation of casualties or injuries, or even confirmation that these planes were hijacked. Nonetheless, we do have a couple of reports, one from AP, one from Reuters, reporting that an American Airlines plane was hijacked, that a United Airlines plane was hijacked, supposedly one of those 2 planes hijacked out of Boston. Within about 45 or 50 minutes after that first attack, we saw smoke pouring out of the Pentagon in the nation's capital. There's the scene right there. Again, at this point, we don't know if that's the result of a bombing or we don't know if it's the result of a plane attack. The president right now is on his way back from Florida. He had gone there for an educational event. He came forward, had a couple of things to say to the nation. In a brief remarks, he said this was an apparent terrorist attack on our country, promised the full resources of the government to help those who were injured by the attack and to investigate the attack. He said, before leading people in prayer, that this will not stand. The president is heading back to the White House, but we can tell you at this point that the White House has been evacuated or is in the process of being evacuated. And here in New York, everybody is, of course, on full alert. All airports, tunnels, and bridges have been closed. Mr. Kallstrom, are you still with me?
Yeah, I
know you've got to get out of there. Any final comments from your end?
No, just a tragic day. I agree with the comments about, I don't think we should jump to any conclusions as to who did this. I think it's largely irrelevant for the public at this point. There are a lot of false claims and misclaims and no claims, and after all, this is such a massive attack that full retaliation will be in the cards. So the notion of someone standing up and saying they actually did this, I would have to put great doubt at that at this point.
Former New York FBI Director James Kallstrom. Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
We can add right now to the list of evacuated, we told you earlier the White House was in the process of or had been evacuated. Said, is it doable?
Well, it is doable. The question is, First of all, it's far too early to talk about what it may be possible to do in response. I mean, clearly, an action like this will provoke some type of response, but then that really requires first figuring out who did it, and then figuring out what the appropriate response is.
Can you play process of elimination in answering who did it? Can you not eliminate some possibilities because they did not have the resources, the coordination, the expertise to do this?
You know, you have to be very, very careful both about jumping to conclusions as to who to blame and ruling out people prematurely. Many years ago, analysis of something like this used to be easier because we dealt with a number of identifiable terrorist organizations, each of which had its own identifiable capabilities and modus operandi. Today, it is a much more fluid organization from universes of like-minded fanatics. These various conspiracies are put together, and so, in fact, if we drop back to the plot that was discovered just before the Millennium celebrations in the United States, that involved some Algerians who, in turn, are believed to have been connected to Osama bin Laden. One sees these assemblies of conspiracies that may involve many actors.
Again, a further note, and we're getting this as it comes in. We understand now, we're getting a report that the FAA has halted all takeoffs, all traffic nationwide, that all aircraft are grounded.
Which was the first time in American history. Interesting to hear about how sophisticated the planning would have to be in all this. I say no to that. 4 guys that can fly a plane while the plane is already in the air, never having to land it, and they had box cutters. And they had full planes of fuel with very few passengers. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We've rolled back as we do each September 11th to September 11th, 2001 on Hurley in the Morning.
Hurley in the Morning, WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger.
If you've ever wanted to learn more about driving an electric vehicle, now's your chance with the ACUA's Drive Electric event on Thursday, September 13th. Here with more is Rick Dovey, president of the ACUA. So this is in your facility in Egg Harbor Township this year.
Yes, we're having it at the Environmental Park on Delilah Road in Egg Harbor Township. This year it'll be a little more convenient for folks, and we're going to have people who have and businesses that have electric vehicles come, and you'll be able to experience and ask questions and even take a ride in one. We'll have officials from the New Jersey DEP and Charge Electric and Atlantic City Electric there to answer questions and provide information.
And where can people find out more?
They can go to acua.com.
I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlanticare, a member of Geisinger. Call 1-888-569-1000 or visit atlanticare.org.
Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt?
I owe the IRS $37,000.
Get ready for a toll-free hotline. Take advantage of new IRS tax forgiveness programs that may protect you from IRS collection agencies. They have the power to garnish your wages, put liens on your property, and levy your bank account. Civic Tax Relief can help protect you from the IRS.
Civic Tax Relief basically represented me against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, I didn't owe the IRS anything.
Find out about the Fresh Start program that is now available through Civic Tax Relief. Civic Tax Relief's special tax hotline can help you discover all the relief programs available for free.
I would recommend anyone who has a tax problem to contact Civic Tax Relief.
Just call 800-315-9956. 800-315-9956. Don't wait. Call now. 800-315-9956. 800-315-9956.
The Insane Inflatable 5K is coming to town, so grab your friends and family and have some fun at the zaniest fun run you've ever done. In 2018, inflate your fitness as you climb, weave, and bounce your way through 11 insane inflatables that will challenge and surprise you and leave you wanting more.
Get your bounce on Saturday, October 6th at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia.
Check it out and register early to take advantage of special savings at InsaneInflatable5K.com. We'll see you on the course.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me next at 10, then Sean Hannity at 3. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio, 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
46 minutes past the hour, we return you to September 11th, 2001, exactly as things unfolded in real time 17 years ago today.
Seem that the United States on this day is under attack from terrorists. That the first aircraft was the first blow in that attack. It was an aircraft that an eyewitness has described to us as a 737. It struck the World Trade Center at its upper levels at 8:45 or within minutes of that this morning. And then 18 minutes after that, there was this frightening scene of a second aircraft plowing into the other tower on the southern tip of Manhattan. This on a clear day when visibility was perfect for flying. It would seem that both aircraft were directly targeting the World Trade Center, building that has or a facility that was the scene of a terrorist attack back in 1993. That attack killed 6 and left over 1,000 injured. Although we have no reports of casualties or injuries at this point, it would seem that we can expect those numbers to be much, much worse today. Shortly after that attack, the president came forward in Florida with a brief address to the nation promising the full resources and saying this will not stand. And then he is flying back to Washington. Once he gets there, he'll find the White House, the Capitol, and the Treasury have been evacuated, and he'll find the Pentagon is ablaze. Victimized again by yet another attack, this one in the nation's capital. That one came at about 9:30 Eastern Time. Bill Plant is standing by with us at the White House or thereabouts. Bill, where are you and what are you getting?
Bill Plant in Washington. I am across the street from the White House on the other side of Lafayette Park, approximately 1 block away. They have evacuated the entire White House staff and the staff of the old executive office building next door. We understand that the Treasury is also being evacuated. There's a lot of activity, fire trucks, ambulances, but as far as we know, there is no damage in the White House complex. I repeat, no damage that we know of in the White House complex. But this was in response to damage elsewhere, to the New York aircraft incidents and to whatever it was that happened at the Pentagon. But this is a full alert. The Secret Service has moved everybody away from the White House grounds, away from the White House complex, and they keep telling us that we have to remain a block away. There are fire trucks going by, ambulances going by, headed we know not where. But this is obviously a precautionary measure because no one clearly knows what to expect next. Right?
All right, Bill Plant. And again, Bill is unable to hear us. We were able to get his audio in here, but as you can imagine, it is I'm sure, a frantic scene down in the nation's capital this morning, as it is here in New York, as we've been watching down at the southern tip of Manhattan. Jane Clayson is with me here in New York, and I apologize for talking throughout, but you've been watching. Go ahead, Jane.
Well, I just wonder how many people are in the building right now. We haven't been able to assess if people have been coming out of the building, if there have been people on the ground. One man reportedly had some burns from some debris that had fallen from the building, but we still haven't been able to assess if there are injuries, or obviously there are many hundreds or if not thousands of people affected, says James Kallstrom, formerly of the FBI, but we still don't know that, and that's one looming question.
Yeah, I mean, you at this point, you hate to jump to conclusions and you don't want to throw numbers around, but if, and again, I put if in capital letters, if we are talking about two commercial aircraft plowing into the World Trade Center during business hours or shortly before the business day begins at 9 a.m., we are talking about some considerable numbers of dead and injured.
And not just at the World Trade Center, now at the Pentagon in Washington as well.
Also at the Pentagon. And we're looking at a list of some of the businesses on the upper levels of the World Trade Center, and none of them have any affiliation with the government. But again, the World Trade Center isn't necessarily a government building. It is there's U.S. Customs above the 70th floor, but the World Trade Center, more than anything, is a symbol of the United States, a symbol of U.S. progress, a symbol of U.S. might, located as it is down at the heart of Wall Street. And so if in fact it was targeted, it was because of its symbolic value. Again, at this point, we don't know whether that Pentagon explosion was the result of an aircraft crashing into it or a bomb that was deployed near there. We had an unconfirmed report that it was a helicopter that had crashed into the building. You can still see some flames down there in the lower right-hand corner. Now we are getting a report that they believe it was a plane. But again, we do not have any confirmation of that, nor do we have any idea what the numbers involved here are.
These are the first scenes from the ground, it appears.
Yeah, these are scenes from near the Pentagon, in the nation's capital. We don't know how close to the Pentagon these are. Obviously, that is not the Pentagon in the background, so we're talking of a neighboring area. We're not getting any numbers at this point. We do know that an FBI team has been dispatched from the nation's capital to investigate what has gone on at the World Trade Center, but at this point our information is sketchy. Looking at a report here now, the first plane to hit the World Trade Center was a hijacked aircraft that had taken off from Boston, supposedly an American Airlines Boeing 767 out of Logan. This is the second aircraft. We don't know whether or not this aircraft was, as earlier reported, a United Airlines aircraft. We are also getting word out of Chicago that the Sears Tower, the tallest structure in that city, has been evacuated. Before we have to step aside, as we're getting another look at Washington, we have just a minute left. Let's go ahead.
And we have less than a minute left. The CBS News will take you at the top of the hour with any additional updates. You've been listening to Bryant Gumbel with CBS News Television and the coverage up to the minute. It shows you that even something that, 45 or actually an hour and 15 minutes ago happened, look how long it takes to find out what happened. And by the way, does anything else seem real important right now? Some events have a way of putting things in perspective, don't they? We'll see you tomorrow. Take good care.
Hurley in the morning.
Let me share with you that 28 minutes after I just signed off 17 years ago today, the World Trade Center's North Tower collapsed. That was 102 minutes after being struck by Flight 11. At 11 a.m., so an hour after we just signed off 17 years ago today, Mayor Giuliani called for the evacuation of Lower Manhattan. At 1 p.m., the U.S. Air Force Base in Louisiana, where President Bush was, they announced that U.S. military forces were on high alert worldwide. Then at 2:51 p.m., the U.S. Navy dispatched missile destroyers to New York and to Washington, D.C. At 5:20 p.m., the 47-story 7 World Trade Center collapsed. It had burned for hours, and it had collapsed. No casualties through the collapse, and the rescue workers were sent fleeing for their lives, obviously with the collapse of a 47-story building. At just before 7 p.m., President Bush returned to the White House after stops at military bases in Louisiana and in Nebraska. And what we're going to do now, and we've done this each and every year as well, this is the one component of our always September 11, 2001 remembrance, and that's year after year after year for 17 consecutive years. We play the 8:30 p.m. September 11th, 2001 speech from the President of the United States, George W. Bush.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shattered steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve. America was targeted for attack because we're the brightest beacon for freedom and opportunity in the world, and no one will keep that light from shining. Today, our nation saw evil, the very worst of human nature, and we responded with the best of America, with the daring of our rescue workers, with the caring for strangers and neighbors who came to give blood and help in any way they could. Immediately following the first attack, I implemented our government's emergency response plans. Our military is powerful, and it's prepared. Our emergency teams are working in New York City and Washington, D.C. to help with local rescue efforts. Our first priority is to get help to those who have been injured and to take every precaution to protect our citizens at home and around the world from further attacks. The functions of our government continue without interruption. Federal agencies in Washington, which had to be evacuated today, are reopening for essential personnel tonight and will be open for business tomorrow. Our financial institutions remain strong, and the American economy will be open for business as well. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
The Bush Doctrine.
I appreciate so very much the members of Congress who have joined me in strongly condemning these attacks. And on behalf of the American people, I thank the many world leaders who have called to offer their condolences and assistance. America and our friends and allies join with all those who want peace and security in the world, and we stand together to win the war against terrorism. Tonight I ask for your prayers for all those who grieve, for the children whose worlds have been shattered, for all whose sense of safety and security has been threatened. And I pray they will be comforted by a power greater than any of us, spoken through the ages in Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
President George W. Bush, 8:30 p.m., September 11, 2001, and he thought up until, well, not even 8 months into his presidency, he thought he would be the education president. Then suddenly, less than 8 months into his presidency, he became a wartime president. Amazing how things can change just like that. Dr. Bob Zlotnick is here. We'll be back right after the news break. And a reminder, if you're available, and I hope you'll check in with me, I'll be on Fox News Radio today from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Guest hosting, filling in for Todd Starnes.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
9/11, 17 years later. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That bell rang at the exact time the first hijacked plane hit the first of the Twin Towers in 2001. That started a long ceremony this morning at Ground Zero in New York. Fox's Tanya J. Powers is live nearby.
There will be 6 bells in all, one each for the 4 attacks in New York, the Pentagon, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania.